Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm dealing with Phillips Run Drip and Bubble YouTube channel. I'm coming to you today. I'm working on something a little different. I ain't working on cars or bluesmobiles or anything like that. I'm actually working on a boat. So I bought this boat a few years back to give you a little history on it. And when I bought it, there was no interior. There was no nothing. It was just a bare, empty boat. There was no motor on it, no center console, no decks, no seat, no nothing. The guy that bought it, that I got it off of, was going to restore it. Well, he tore it all to pieces and then quit. And that's where I'm at. And so when I got it, I was like, I want this boat to be zero maintenance, or as zero as possible. I know you still got to do your oil changes and stuff on the engine itself. And so I decided I'm not going to put any wood back into it. I'm going to make it all aluminum deck. I want it to be lightweight. I want it to be no rot. Nothing. So when I got it, it still had some of the insulation left in it where he couldn't get it out. And that insulation was just waterlogged. I mean, it was just, I think it was a couple 100 pounds of insulation is what I pulled out of this boat. And when you're trying to be fast and light, you don't want 200 pounds of extra weight that ain't needed. And so I got rid of that. And I'll show you what I got, what my brainstorm is, or what I'm doing as far as the deck on this thing to keep the maintenance down. So what I've done is I want to make it just a solid deck. I don't want any doors, anything. I want it to be solid. So what I've done is I went and bought a bunch of square tubing and started measuring and figuring and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Well, what I've done is the front of this is, so this is piece here. There'll be another piece that goes across and across, and this will be braced up. And then I've got a piano hinge, and that's going to go in between stainless steel, zero rust, and then it goes to here. Well, this back piece is going to be a solid deck. There's going to be no like little cuddy holes that you open. The whole deck's going to pick up. Well, I was like, well, I got to be able to get the fish, live well without having to lift the whole deck every time. Because if somebody's up here fishing, you don't want them to have to get down. And so I got online and I bought this. It's actual door that's sealed, and I'm going to mount that above the live well. So that way, that'll be the only hole. So whenever you catch fish or whatever, you just flip that lid open, throw the fish in, and go on. So that way, it's easy, Well, when I get done with everything, it's going to be a solid deck. Let me show you kind of what I'm talking about on the back of that. So the back, I'm getting pretty close. And now listen, I'm TIG welding. I don't know. I'm not the greatest TIG welder, so bear with me there. I mean, they're not horrible, but they're not great. You might look at this one and be like, oh, Lord. But this is, the deck on the rear is pretty close to finished. I've still got one brace. I'm going to put a brace that comes up and then across and then back down. That way it's just super stable. I've got up there on it the way it's set, and it's not going anywhere, but I just want just a little bit more because over time, how aluminum is going to get a little weaker. But, so I just got that extra brace just in case. So this back piece is solid. It's to the boat, and then there'll be a piano hinge that goes in here, which is what this is. And the way it works is, if you want to get back there to do anything, that whole deck flips. It's going to raise and lower. That gives you full access to the back of the boat. So when that's done, it'll be a full flip up, and then something else. When I bought the boat, it had no gas tank, nothing. Well, my little brother had actually got a boat he needed parts off of, and it had a 33-gallon aluminum fuel cell. Well, it's perfect. It's made for a boat, so the bottom of it's like this. So I took a couple of golf cart tires and I cut the tire itself because they're 100% rubber. They're not got the steel belt in them. I laid underneath it and across it, and then I ratchet strapped down. Well, then I took the filler neck end off of the boat, put it here, and then I got the filler that goes in. So I've got a 33-gallon fuel cell on an aluminum boat. I've got the Johnson 90 horsepower. When I first got it, I went through it. Me and my cousin did. We put new fluid in the foot. We did a water pump, tuned it up, carburetors rebuilt, got it running great. We run all the cables, controls for the motor. He helped me get, I got the whole nine. When I got this boat, I didn't have nothing. I didn't have a steering wheel. I didn't have control cables. I didn't have shifter. I didn't have throttle. I didn't have nothing. It was a bare boat, no wiring, no anything. It was just an empty hull. So when we found it, me and my little brother was out looking for parts for his Dodge truck. He needed the special, there's a certain mirror he wanted. And we was driving around and I seen the boat sitting off down in the hole and I said, hey, let's go check on that. And he said, we will on the way back through. And so we pulled back in on the way back and we was in a Mercury Grand Marquis and it had a trailer hitch on it. And the guy gave us, he's like, this is what it'll take for it. And we bought it. And we actually pulled this thing home about an hour and a half with a Mercury Grand Marquis. Of course, it didn't weigh nothing. It don't weigh nothing now, but it didn't weigh nothing then. It didn't have nothing in it. So I'm going to finish welding the braces up and over and down and get the back pretty much completely done. That way I can come back and start working on getting the hinge put on it. And then the material I'm using to cover it is aluminum composite. So it's got like a thin piece of aluminum and then it's a composite material and then another thin piece of aluminum. It's like 1/4 inch thick, half, it ain't quite half, it's like 1/4 inch thick. And that'll lay over the whole deck and that'll give me plenty of strength because I've got enough bracing across the whole thing. So I'm going to get back to welding. I'll put you on a time lapse and we'll go from there. So what I just done is I made this cross brace that is attached to the back, which is permanent. It don't move at all. And I made sure that it fits where it puts a little bit of pressure on the deck in the front, but it don't pick it up off the front of here so that it sits flush down. So what I've done is I got it in, tacked it together, took it out, welded it all up, put it back in, then welded at the floor here and here, and then I welded back there as well. So after I get done doing, I've done that, so that'll support this side and it's permanent welded in. Now I'm going to repeat the same process on the other side. I've got the back deck done, welded. I've still got to put the hinge in, but that'll be a rivet in whenever I start to do the floor. So I got the back deck braces, both side braces, whenever they'll stay permanent down. So that's going to be full brace there. So the next step is going to be come up to the front and start welding it up, putting all the braces in, laying it all out how I want it, weld it all together. And get done welding it together and come in and clean the floor back up. I had it good and clean and then I let it set. This has just been a project that I've worked on over time. So I'll come back in, sand it all nice and clean like right here. And then I'm going to prime it with a metal etching primer. That way I don't run a chance of having like a reaction with the water. So over time, aluminum boats will, I guess you call it rust. So if you put down right there, you can see how it's done on that rail right in there. So that's what we don't want. So I'm going to come in and clean that all up and then I'll prime everything up. And then it'll be a paint. So I'm going to paint it. The color paint on this boat is actually the Challenger Charger green. They've done that dark green. So in the daylight or outside, it's got quite a bit of glitter, metal flake to it. So that's where we're at right now. So my next agenda is to do the front deck.